after we had made the short film, actually, people kept on watching it and saying, this should actually be a television series.
It's been, what, 11 years or so since you started on this filmmaking journey?
Something.
Can you talk about the most amount of effort that you've put toward making a feature and what have been the biggest challenges for you and Sarah?
Yeah, I think it's been, 10, 11 years since we've really been actively making stuff. The biggest effort we've put towards a feature, well, I have two kind of thoughts about that. The biggest effort we put towards a feature is a script that we had written 2 years ago that we called Fender Bender, and it's the road trip comedy, the kind of film that we love. And we had produced a sizzle reel to really give audiences or prospective investors, producers, sort of a visual idea of what the film might be. And I think we've gotten that script into the hands of a lot of production companies, a lot of big production companies. And that's and I gotta say, all of them passed. There wasn't one company that was like, oh, let's pursue this. But just the fact that you're getting them in there, we were really excited about that, because that is like a positive sign that people are liking it enough to start passing it around. Like, it's not just going to those friends or, your family or whatever, but like it's going to people who are moving the script farther along. And I feel like we had a lot of momentum behind that project. And then, of course, the pandemic happened. And so I think, and not just us, I think there were a lot of people who, just lost a little bit of that momentum and everything they were building towards. So that was probably the hardest, or the most effort we've been put into a feature so far. Another thing that happened to us was really interesting, is that we had made a couple of years even before that, we had made another short, a proof of concept short film that we were hoping to adapt into a feature. And, we had the feature script ready, and somebody had found our feature script. An actress had found our feature script, a prolific television actress, had been around and on shows that we all knew. And she passed it to a producer, and they actually approached us about adapting it into a television series, which is something we'd never done. And it's kind of interesting how these things sort of happen, because after we had made the short film, actually, people kept on watching it and saying, this should actually be a television series. And Sarah and I were like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. We hadn't really thought about that. But people kept on saying it. People kept on saying it. And of course, we were kind of locked into that narrow view that, no, it's got to be a feature film. We made it to be a proof of concept short, and now it's got to be a feature. So we'd written it as a feature, but then here were two people who wanted, again, we were hearing, to adapt it into television. So we actually signed a deal with them to adapt this short into a television series. And we spent about a year working on that. And of course, as can happen so many times, projects, even though you're super excited about them and you really want them to go forward and there's a lot of momentum behind it, for whatever reason, they end up falling through, and things don't always come to fruition the way you wished they would. But I'm using that example just to illustrate, like, you never know how the project is going to come alive. We had written the script, wanted to make it into a feature, and then, something happened that sort of, set us back. But we had also had another script that we wanted to make into a feature, and we were making that into a television series. So I think you don't really know how everything is going to fall into place always. So you just got to be ready to, kind of go wherever, kind of go with your best path forward.
And so going into something new, do you always keep that in the back pocket of like, this may fall, don't get too excited. I want to be on board and ready, but it could fall through, and protecting yourself almost?
So protecting yourself is, I think, absolutely crucial. I think, again, since I've done this for so long and since I've seen so many things throughout, my career and just the different jobs that I've done and just different projects that I've been involved with, yes, absolutely. I think that's crucial that, yes, be excited about something and really want it to happen and really do everything in your power to make it happen. But, sometimes things will fall through and it's just completely out of your control. And maybe sometimes it's not, but I think keeping your expectations kind of in check until you're, I would even say, this even goes back to like my time as an actor. Actors can book a really, and this has happened to me, this has happened to so many friends that I know, you can book something really amazing and you can shoot the part even, you can book it and you can be on set. And then when you're watching it, you're cut out, And I think that same sort of mentality must apply to the filmmaking side, that like, I would never really consider something done until I'm literally at home watching it or I'm in a movie theater watching it. Things always happen, best intentions. I've seen people and friends make films. We were talking about this earlier. Sometimes it's taken these people years, but I've seen films that have really, and I've even been involved in films like that as an actor where people invest so much time and so much money and the film never gets released, ever. People have never seen it. It's sitting on a shelf at somebody's house, and it's really unfortunate when things like that do happen, but they do happen. So I would say it is really crucial, and maybe, something you should start if people haven't really worked on it or thought about that, really do kind of get yourself used to just things, falling through, but everything will run its course. And I think one of the ways I've sort of started to protect myself from that maybe is to we like to have just a couple things going on. Maybe what's the phrase? Don't put all your eggs in one basket. And I think for me and for Sarah and for our production company, that's been really helpful. Is that we're trying to just have a few things that we're working on, so that if something does fall through, you move on to the next one, and you're going with that one and seeing where that one can go, and then maybe that one will fall through, maybe not, and then if so, you go into the next one. But I think that's really important. But I think when if someone is just starting out or thinking of getting into this, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. You're going to, things fall through.
You don't seem jaded to me. How do you keep yourself upbeat? Very refreshing.
I think,
I know, not that I'm putting you on the spot or anything, but I mean, you seem very upbeat to me.
Yeah, I think, how do I do it? Because it is true, like when you get so attached to something, it's difficult. I mean, I feel, when a project does fall through, it's like, you just feel like you were so close, or so many pieces were falling into place, and then this one thing sort of like sucks the air out of it. It's really, it can feel terrible. It's really like deflating, and you just, it's like, again. But I think you do have to realize that, and kind of we were talking about this earlier too. I mean, it's a career. It's like the perseverance thing, and it's kind of like you're in it for the long haul. At least that's how I've always felt. And I think, yeah, you just, it is good to diversify yourself so you're not putting all your eggs in one basket. So if something falls through, that's it. That's everything. You're out of LA. You're out of the business. I think you really do need to have a good attitude and just, yeah, be able to sort of overcome it. And yeah, for me, I think being able to have a career and to be able to, I should say something that's helped me has been being able to just always think about it that way. I guess to think about maintaining a career, not just, a one hit or something like that. And I think, yeah, lately it really has felt for me a lot better having multiple things going on so that if something does fall through, because it will, that I can kind of put my focus on the next thing.